So Pasture for Farmers membership focuses on talking about and learning about how to graze ruminant livestock in that way, but also we welcome members from other professions who are interested in this approach. So, people beyond livestock farming, butchers, retailers, researchers, vets, chefs, and more. To be a member just means supporting part of the community. It doesn't mean you have to be tied into becoming a certified farm. If certification is something people are interested in, obviously they can get in touch with us and we can discuss how that whole process works. But the key to involve pasture life is just being passionate about engaging with pasture-fed farming and the role that ruminants play in that. So we spend a lot of year out as an organisation out on farm, organising events where members can learn from each other about grazing management, finishing cattle off pasture and direct selling. Over the winter is sort of a more quieter period. We're always trying to bring the community together at this period of time at home. So with the daylight short and precious, we bring people together in this way online. Over this winter period, I think we have something like 50 webinars on the go, sort of between starting in October and then ending in March coming up. So the topic of today's webinar, of course, is measuring and monitoring pasture performance with Stuart Henry, who is based at Oakwood Mill Farm in the Scottish Borders. So what I'll do is I'll finish up there for now and we'll just swap the slides over, Stuart.
Okay.
Okay, all you.
Okay. Right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming along and seeing what we do here. Just really be a fairly short and brief run through of what we do with grazing here at Oakwood Mill. Yeah. So we'll just get off with a bit of a farm rundown, really. What we do. So yeah, we're Oakwood Mill Farm in the Scottish Borders. I farm with my father in partnership with him. We have about 220 hectares in total. 110 of those being hill ground, and another 110 being in by ground. We are fully organic certified, have been with the Soil Association since 2001. As I said, I farm partnership with my dad. We are tenants of Buccleuch Estates, moved to this farm in 1996. We run 70 pedigree cows, with a third of those put to the Ling Bull and two-thirds going to the Aberdeen Angus. We run a pretty tight 6-week bulling, with calving starting at the beginning of April. All heifer calves are normally kept for replacements or for sale, and all other calves are taken to finish and all sold to Dovegate Park. Normally by about 20 months of age, everything's off farm and hopefully hung up. An extra 50 to 70 extra year-old steers or heifers are taken on organic store cattle in May each year, and again they're taken to finish by the December of the same year. So yeah, we're hoping to run a pretty full-on system, all at grass. Try to just push performance a little bit, just using what we've got in front of us. So yeah, so winter grazing will just it's not really part of pasture performance really, but we'll cover it anyway. So yeah, so all cows, in-calf heifers are all outwintered on deferred grazing from probably early October, November, right through to the end of March, just before calving. So cows are given no supplementary feed at all through winter. They're just on a cell grazing system where we split up the larger part of the hill, which is about 90 hectares, and they're basically just cell grazed right through winter. I'd say are not fed any supplementary feed. They're getting a new allocation, I say 3 hectare blocks roughly anything between 4 and 7 days. That they're just working away there just on deferred grass. So yeah, and then normally about 3 to 4 weeks pre-calving, just really depending on cow condition. Cows are fed 2 kilos a head of barley or bruised barley, which is just fed with a snacker, just to help, just for colostrum and just milk quality, just pre-calving. So they're fed that 3 to 4 weeks pre-calving, and then that's on the hill, and then they're all brought down to in by ground in April to calve, like straight onto spring rotation really. So to say the whole hill is grazed, block grazed through winter, just a single strand temporary electric fence. Incalf heifers are on a smaller part of the hill, about a 20-hectare part that's sectioned off with permanent wire, and they are grazed that and again on no supplementary feed, and they're on just sort of 4 5 day shifts really. Um, they've been given a bit of feed, sort of from January this year onwards. We're still finding our feet with what we're doing with in-calf heifers. We are a bit kinder to them. We don't want to push them too hard. Obviously, they're still growing themselves and they're growing a calf, like so. So we are feeding up kilos of barley sort of in the new year, right up to calving, really. Just to keep them growing and keep the calves on them, keep the calves growing. So, the hill grounds, it's all deferred. As I say, it grows all summer and it's only grazed by the cows in the winter. So, from the 1st of April right through to October, that hill doesn't see any other grazing apart from the winter months. Like so, it's a fair big bit of stockpile in front of them. So, that's it sets us up well. Been doing this for I think 28, 29 winters now. So, so it really suits our system, suits our cows. And just really just helps to get through the winter and keep costs down really. As I said, Dad's been doing this. I've only been home for the last 3 and a bit years, like so. Dad's been doing this for almost 30 years, and he has a good stat that he always likes to tell everybody that in the summer of 22, when it was that bad drought, we actually fed more hay in I think July and August in that year than we ever have done on the hill. Like so, I think we're under 40 bales. We've ever fed on the hill for cows of hay. In the whole 28 winters we've been up there. Like so, just goes to show you how resilient that system can be, and how adaptive the cows are. Um, so yeah, we'll just move on to what we do on our summer grazing sort of platform. You know, cows are moved out the field just a few days pre-calving, and they're straight into rotations. So all in by fields are split up, again with single wire, electric posts, fence and posts, all temporary, and every field that we have is split into a 1 hectare paddock. Um, Coming off the hill, cows are split into 3 groups, which are destined to be their bulling groups. So that's us. Handle the cows once come off the hill, and that's them probably not handled again right through till probably PDing actually. Before cows are back through the yard to get PD, and they go straight to the hill after PDing pretty much. So yeah, we try and get ahead of the game, and cows are sorted out, and bulling groups come off the hill, and then as I say, straight onto rotation. Calves weaned um sort of October. Just depends on the year really. When we go for it, and grass availability for the cows. But yeah, they weaned probably early October, and they're kept outside as long as possible on grass, as per ground conditions and grass availability really. So, um, wean calves are kept inside over the winter, but again, hopefully with all in by fields not being grazed at all during the winter, we're hoping for an early turnout in April. So, just to give them a good kick, and get them moving on, like so. Um, yeah, turnout calves split into steer and heifer groups, and the sort of the lay of the land with the farm is we're sort of split into two blocks, really. So say we're 110 hectares, and just under half of that is probably newer reseeds, which are a multi-species herbal lays, um, which are a ryegrass, red clover, white clover, plantain, and chicory. So and a bit of timothy as well. So those high performing lays are really reserved for these growing cattle. So, and then the rest of the farm is sort of down to I wouldn't say older grass. I wouldn't think we've got anything older than sort of 10 years old. The rest of the farm stays down to just a ryegrass and white clover mix. And the cows are just stay on those rotations as well, really. So, we're running just again depending on the time of year and conditions. We're running let's say all 1 hectare paddocks. Calves probably about a 40 to 50 you know in the groups, and they're just rotating all the best grass we have, and they're rotating right round say from April, and then the extra store cattle arriving in May, right through till they go till they go to get killed from probably mid late August onwards, right through till Christmas. Really, that's our aim is to have all finished cattle, away by Christmas. Really, um, yeah, that's just a little map of the farm here. It's how we how this is how we split up the farm and how we're in our paddocks. So every paddock you can see there that's in the thin pencil line. They're within a field, which the dark blue lines are the outline of the actual field, and then this is how we split our paddocks up. So all our paddocks are numbered. Um, as we do measure grass at least once a fortnight, if not once a week, probably in the high growing season, really. We're spending a bit of time. Or dad spends a bit of time going around and plate meters the whole farm. Through regardless whether we are a grass check farm, and I think regardless whether we were a grass check or not, we'd still be measuring, in peak growth, sort of in May, June, we'd still be measuring grass probably once a week, if not fortnightly. So it's really good getting around all these fields and seeing what's in front of us and how we split. So yeah, so this side of the farm really on this is a road right through the farm here, and so this side to the upper side is all of these sort of newer grasses, bar this field here, and yeah, so that's where all our growing cattle are really allocated to these rotations, and then all this side is sort of reserved for cows. And we are very flexible in how we run it, and I know it's not hard and fast rule that that cows can't graze this and calves can't graze over here, or store cattle can't graze over here. So it's all just about being flexible with what's in front of us, and having a bit of planning. And on the on the finishing and the planning front, I think just the ability to, as I say, to measure grass, just for us, just being a fairly small unit, um, you know, you only running, say, 110 hectares and by for the spring, summer, and autumn. We are just trying to maximize what we have. So find that measuring grass and trying to get the most out of our system, and the most out of our grass is really vital to making us a viable business. Um, so as I say, all finished cattle are sold to Dovecote Park, and they all have been since 2005. Yeah, the aim is to have, say, all cattle slaughtered by 20 months old. We used to slaughter, most of our cattle probably a bit older, sort of from 24 months onwards. But really found, we used to run a forage crop through the winter outside with silage bales, um, and just having that ground tied up in extra, in forage crop, just give us less grass in the summer, having 20 hectares of forage crop tied up, and then having obviously that going back into grass the following year, and then another 20 to go back into forage crop, sometimes left you with, sort of 40 hectares short of grass in the summer, like so. We've kind of just gone to I just try to finish cattle by the second winter, so we're not having to deal with them over the winter. Not find somewhere for them to go. So I would just try to push things a bit uh on a bit more. We are sort of going to a lighter carcass, between 260 300 kilos, but they must be fat, like, Dovecote, do specify that they need to provide a quality carcass, to their market, so that they must be fat. So, as I say, all the beef cattle are rotationally grazed on multi-species herbal, with a good content of clover. So these animals really are sort of pushing on through the summer. Yeah, so said before, the lays consist of red clover, white clover, chicory, plantain, ryegrass, and timothy. It really seems to work for us in our conditions here. In May and June, these fields really do seem to rock out a lot more than our other more traditional grass mixes. Um, yeah, not really any minerals fed at all to any cattle in the in the summer, spring, summer, autumn. Everything's just on ad lib, rock salt. Don't tend to really feel it affects us anyway. Yeah, we get good growth rates. We're aiming for over 1.5 really kilos a day from May right through till sort of August, just at grass, like so yeah, we really are just trying to push what they're getting. But I think having the bit more diverse, I think, sward and different rooting depths of these different plants seems to help us, and seems to save us feeding any minerals. So we do alongside all this, we do FEC tests, every 4 weeks on our growing cattle, just to make sure that we're not nothing's untoward, really. Being organic, we don't worm as a practice, we just worm off the back of effect tests. So last year, yeah, 2024, we didn't worm any growing cattle at all year, like so. It saves a cost, and I think just shows that, I think, rotationally grazing, not coming back into fields from anything from 14 to 30 days, really is rotation, just depending on the time of year. I think just really just seems to break up this worm cycle for us anyway, and saves us need worm. Yeah, so as we say, August onwards, as the quality tends to decline, we do feed barley and juice to help these cattle flesh up, and keep them motoring. We want to keep this good growth. We want to keep this, sort of 1.5 kilos a day sort of minimum. Say all cattle are weighed every 4 weeks, pretty religiously. All these growing cattle, like, are taken down to the stead and weighed. So we like to see what everything's doing. As I say, it kind of helps us monitor and point out any issues, or whether that be cattle or grazing. If the system is lacking anywhere. So as I say, as the grass quality goes down and more into the back end, we do start feeding a bit of barley. Sort of half a kilo in August, kilo in September, then a kilo and a half in October, and then 2 kilos sort of November, December. Obviously, as these cattle going through the back end, we are getting less and less of them. So even though we're feeding more, we're feeding less head of cattle. And they all just fed in, on rotation in the paddocks. Like, we have these, I should have put a picture in, but we've got a set of these half blue barrel troughs, and they're sort of they're joined together by wire rope, and we just tow them around, and the cattle are fed every day, just in those, you see, like, so just makes the job easy, and makes us, when paddock grazing, you can just tow them around with the buggy or the bike just to the next paddock. Yeah, say cattle taken, mid-August right through to December. Um, and yeah, as I say, FET tests and no wormers used in 2024. So yeah, so say for us, for just maintaining this pasture growth and performance, as I say, being a small unit, we kind of really do depend on having, a good good growing season. Like so, you know, and all fields have to perform. So you have a pretty religious and testing regime. You know, the whole farm is just slowly getting across to GPS soil sampled. You know, and I think is critical for soil sampling if you want to grow you want to go clover. I think you need to have a good pH. So you know, we do aim for 6.3 pH across the farm. Like so, we're basically doing a quarter of the farm every year GPS soil sample, and that gets supplied. You know, gets applied the same year. So say we're slowly just working our way around the whole farm, and then say we'll work into a 4-year rotation, sort of on the whole farm for getting topped up. Um, yeah, regards to P's and K's, you know, we don't really do a lot for, you know, I think if the pH is kept right, I think the P's and K's, you know, seem to look after themselves. You know, we don't tend to make a lot of opportunistic silage or hay or anything. We try and graze what's in front of us, or defer it if it does, you know, get away for us, bit of insurance for summer. So so you know, we don't tend to take, you know, many nutrients off the paddocks themselves. You know, hopefully everything's grazed and you know in the field rather than taken off and maybe, you know, fed somewhere else. Um, you know, that is bar our silage field. We do run one sort of dedicated silage field, which is the forage for the calves, alongside a bit of forage for growing cattle just in the back end. You know, we do struggle with obviously winter grass growth. So these growing cattle when they're you know, sort of in the months of November, December, and they're still on farm, they are a sacrifice field. You know, we grow a little bit of barley, say just for our own use for these growing cattle. So once the barley is off, we tend to dot these red clover silage bales out in there for these growing cattle. You know, and they're just basically just a bit like bale grazing, but with no actual grazing. It's just they're just fed the silage and barley. So it seems to be it's a system we're still sort of refining, but as I say, they're in the stubble field or in the field that's going to be the barley for the next year. So we can stop the bales out and they can just, you know, like say strip graze the field. There tends to be not a lot of grass in the field, or it's a stubble like so. You know, they're just getting an allocation of silage and barley. That's kind of what they're eating, and that's sort of keeps us going for the, you know, November, December. There's no grass left, and fields are wet, and we don't want to graze like so. So they are concentrated in one group and just eating that in the eating that for the back end until they go to slaughter. So yeah, as I say, like you know, this soil sampling, you know, we're slowly getting the whole farm. You know, before that we were soil sampling, you know, a few fields every year with just traditional sampling. You know, it's the blanket. But now we're all, you know, obviously doing a variable rate, because we're GPS soil sampling, so we're doing variable rate spreading. So, it is a bit more expensive, you know, the test itself, but we still managed to, you know, it still comes in the costs. What we've been doing for this, the you know the government scheme in Scotland where you get soil sampling done. It does, you know, it does still cover our costs, and it's definitely worth doing for us. You know, it saves a bit of lime, and um, you know, you're just seeing that picture and on the right there, you know, these areas of red, you know, are these high pH areas, and the greens the low pH. So it's surprising, you know, for whatever reason, the different soil types in every field, you know, how it affects, you know, the pH levels. So you know, for us, it is definitely worth. I feel it's a good investment, you know, just to be GPS in our fields, you know, every 4 years, and same way we are with pH. So also alongside that, we're doing organic matter levels and everything. So you know, we're running over pretty much 10% across the farm, really. So yeah, you know, alongside, you know, when we're making all this forage, you know, we're doing forage testing. You know, we're using SAC mainly for our forage testing just to find out, you know, what we've got in these silage in the silage clamp for these young calves, like so, or for these growing steers. So you know, we'll do a silage analysis for every cut we do. So you know, we're focusing on a multi-cut system just for high quality. Uh, aye, we're just trying to make the best forage we can. The better quality the forage is, then the less we have to feed. So that's that's kind of where we are with how we go about just needing to test really, and really just it's all about just these marginal gains for us being a small farm. So we really do feel that making the most of all these things and having data and making decisions driven off data for us is really important. And not spending money for the sake of spending money, or you're spending money because you need to. So we're kind of just down that proving that we need to do things before we do them. It's another little tool that I've only just started using really last year, and this is a Feed Smart. It's just a web page based little little system, and it's basically like a little app. And this is how you start. This is the home screen. This grass allocation you can choose if you're grazing cattle or sheep. That's the web link there to it, and yeah, you can just sort of set in what stock you're grazing. You can put in the date, the weight of the animals, and the growth rate that you want them to be growing at, and you can type in. So this one, this screen here is showing that you try to work out what size of paddock you want. So that's your 25 animals. I think I had them at 350 kilos. Uh, there's 25 of them. That's your starting cover. That's your residual cover. Obviously, get no supplementary feed, and that's the width of your paddock. So say it's 50 meters. That's your allocation of what it needs to be for one day's grazing. So it's a good little tool just for working out, where you're where you need to be for your rotations, or if you're strip grazing or whatever. It's a it's a good tool for working out. I do it for growing cattle in the summer. Obviously we're split into 1 hectare paddock, so we are sort of using more of this screen. And I'm going to try to work out, my residual covers, which, sort of changing as we're going through the season. Early on, sort of May and June, sort of May, I'm probably grazing fairly quickly and lightly, so we're getting high growth, and then as we're coming into the end of June, I'm probably grazing a bit harder and taking covers down a bit more. Getting good resets on getting good growth. So yeah, so that's sort of telling you how many days or how many your residual will be left over if you're grazing those animals. So yeah, it's good. It's a really good little tool. I say I've only discovered it off somebody else last year. So um, aye, it just a nice little thing to help you see how you should allocate, or if you how many animals you should be allocating to what you've got in front of you. So it's all these little things that just make life a little bit easier. And as I say, we're a bit more of a data driven farm, being for the size that we are. So we're just really trying to push the margins and really get our grazing right. And we do focus pretty hard on getting the right grazing system for these growing animals. We're trying to really are trying to just push the window and push their performance at grass. Especially in May, June, July. So they're not getting any supplementary feed. So I May and June, saying about 1.5. That's probably more of our average across the summer. We really are starting to May and June. We're wanting to be hitting sort of 1.8 kilos a day plus really at grass. To get the benefit of these benefit of these cattle, and just to keep it's all just keeping the cost down and keeping them flying. Keeping the grass in front of them and just keep them moving, and that's just really just what we're about, really. So yeah, as I say, this is grass check was another scheme I've been involved in. Probably near the start when it was sort of kicking off. Sort of 2018 was when we became a member, and as I said, it's a UK wide. Well, I say it was a UK wide project. They've actually just it's coming to an end this time, and I think by the sounds of it, there's no funding for this year going forward. So unfortunately, GrassCheck is closing. So I've included quite a few slides about this in my presentation here, but I'll just gloss over them anyway, and you can see what it was sort of about. But uh, it's a monitoring project, and it involved 50 nationwide dairy, excuse me, dairy, beef, and sheep farms across the UK, with data published every week throughout the growing season. So we've been members of GrassCheck since 2018. the main benefit to our farm would say was it was really, even though say we were measuring grass anyway before, but it really makes us conscious measuring grass, every fortnight or weekly. So the whole the whole farm is plate metered. Every paddock's plate metered every week or every fortnight. And then alongside that we get a fortnightly grass sampling service, so we can get fresh grass cuts analysed. That's obviously giving us our energy levels and our protein levels of our grass, so and our dry matter, so we can see going, throughout the season. We can see where paddocks are performing, and it's sort of we never really thought about, it's a good little tool just to see where you are with let's say your protein levels and your energy levels. But it wasn't really till this year, we had a big lull in performance in growing cattle in July. I think daily gains were back to at 1.2. With no real reason why. Um, and it wasn't until we sort of sat down with the grass sampling and sort of went through the ones we'd taken that month, and from the same time out the same field sort of previous years, and we'd gone back through and we noticed that sort of the ME, the energy levels of the grass was back a whole point. Instead of being sort of in the 12s, we're down until sort of the high 10 sort of thing. So yeah, just sort of, if we hadn't have it wouldn't have been taking grass samples, fresh grass samples, and getting them analysed. We just sort of been guessing, I think, if why cattle were underperforming. But when you go to the extent that you can do something and you can explain a reason why cattle aren't thriving the way you think they should be, for that time of year, it's just sort of, I don't know, gives you a little bit of confidence in your system. And yeah, so you can stop looking, basically. We were a bit worried about how things were sort of going to pan out. And were we missing something? The cattle looked healthy, and obviously we were doing vet tests that they didn't have any worms or anything. There was no really real burden on them, but they still weren't performing. But it just goes down to being the quality of the grass just wasn't there. So having these tests and samples proves that you've got something that's there that you need to look at. Um, so yeah, but I say unfortunately, grass check is stopping. So we're still gonna carry on doing pay for our own grass sampling. I think fortnightly for these paddocks for these growing cattle, because I think it's a big asset to the way we run our system. Know what's in front of us. So as I say, we're weekly grass measuring the whole farm with a rising plate meter, the fortnightly grass sampling of paddocks, dry matter, your ME, your protein, your sugar values given for every sample. The biggest benefit of just measuring grass and measuring every paddock is that the fact that you're setting foot in every paddock, every week. I think we can all be guilty of, in certain times of the year that you just, if you're on a rotation, you wouldn't go in that paddock or that field to the next rotation. I think the benefit of measuring grass on foot is the fact that you're on foot walking through those fields, every week, and you really just keeping tabs on where you are with your grazing and what's in front of you. Because if grass can get too, I feel for us, if grass gets too far in front of us, say we're really not trying to make any extra silage. We make that one field, so we're not meaning to make any opportunistic silage. So I think for us, knowing where we are with grass growth in every paddock and knowing what we're growing, I think just really keeps us on the front foot for allocations, and it keeps the system just all ticking along and making sure we're getting these good graze outs for us, and say getting good pasture performance. I say just that's 3 to 4 hours. It takes, yeah, near 4 hours to do 110 hectares every week, and it's definitely worth every second. As I say, just that ability to have just the physical, the physical visual of every paddock every week is unbelievable. It's just it's hard to explain, what benefit that brings. Um, just of walking the farm. And I think, alongside that, just walking a farm without being on a bike or a buggy or a pickup just is just good for you anyway. I think it's just good for you and see where you are. Sometimes it can be the opposite, man. You can see how if your grass isn't growing, the weather's not being good. You can see, you see how bad it's doing. But I think it's definitely, but on that case, you can definitely address problems before they become big problems. By being able to see where you are and seeing underfoot conditions and how you're doing. So for us, the size of place we are, I'll get back to that, but keep saying that we're just being small and having to push everything. We're just and having to pay a rent. I think we're just trying to maximize where we are. So it's a massive thing to what we do here. Um, Alongside the grass measuring, we're using Farmax. So it's a modeling decision support tool developed for farmers. It's a whole farm modeling system, and it uses your data that you record on farm to forecast and help predict, um, what's going to happen on your farm, your grading system, and it lets you create scenarios for your farm system as well. It actually accurately predicts the impacts of business decisions before you make them. Say we've been involved using Farmax. It's a New Zealand software. I've used it since 2016. Or Dad's been using it since 2016, I should point out. Not me. He's probably better than I am. But yeah. So basically, it's just been implementing grass measuring to complement decisions that we make here. So in this little screen grab, this is showing us our months along the bottom. And this is sort of our average farm cover. The blue dots on this line, which is our forecast cover, but the blue dots are our actual measured cover. This broad green line is sort of a line we've sort of came up with to sort of be our target range of where we need to be sort of for our season. This is our demand line. So as you can see, like down here is pretty low because there's no March and April. There's not really anything on the platform. It's obviously April here. This is when cows come on. So this is a big jump. And again, these jumps in May are when store cattle come in. These other jumps will be when when calves come out to graze. So yeah, this is a demand line. The closer these two lines get together are sort of where you're getting to your peak efficiency, efficient use of grass. But if they collide, then you can go into the red and you're unfeasible. So say for us, it uses your previous year's data, our plate mapping data, and it refines this model. So every year going forward, the fact we have more grass measures in the bank sort of thing, previous grass measures, it can refine our predictions of where we are and what we're going to have in our growing seasons. It doesn't take weather into account, but I think it's pretty accurate. When we enter these blue dot, which are actual measures, before you do that, it gives you a forecast grass measure. Your average farm cover. And I would say within every time we do it, every time we plot in our own grass measure, I think Farmax must be within I think 20 kilos. Yeah, 20 kilos dry matter within where our actual measure is. So it is really good at predicting. It's only as good as the data you're inputting into it. So it is using you're telling it what class of stock you're running, what age they are, all that. So it knows the demand the animals have. Um, so yeah, again, this is alongside the grass measure, and it just really does complement. I say, and for us being a small unit, I really think it just does help us sort of plan in advance of our system and see where we can make decisions, to try and make use of our grass growth better, and just it's just for us it's all about utilization really, and getting the most from our farm. So this just is another tool in the bank for us really, just to try and predict, or help us predict what could happen and or what problems could arise. It is really good at predicting things in the future. If you're getting really close, these lines are getting really close together, you think you're looking pretty good, but say you've had an early good growing season, you don't tend to grow any more grass if you had a really good growing season early on. Then later on it tends to suffer. You really don't tend to grow the same amount of grass every year, regardless on what type of year you have. You always, on average, you always grow the same amount of grass over that year. So it is quite good and just probably giving you a bit of reassurance on what you're thinking and give you a bit more confidence in your decisions. So yeah, this is a little brief screenshot of last year's sort of growing cattle and where we were. Um, so yeah, these are our own calves coming out, and this is their performance of themselves out. So these yellow dots are measured dots of actual weights, and this is the prediction sort of, and you can see, if you were to input this one, you can see and put in, you can try and guess your your weight gains. But yeah, last year wasn't as good a year for us growing cattle. So yeah, at some points we were dipping a fair bit in July just to like a kilo a day there. But then coming into silage in the back end, we were really were motoring cattle, on red clover silage and 2 kilos of barley. We were doing 1.8. Some cattle were doing 2 kilos, so. Um, so yeah, as I say, going out to grass there, they were doing 2 kilos of grass, straight in April, coming out of the shed, so. It's just a good little tool just to, if you're weighing all these, a lot of people too tend to weigh cattle, but by being able to use those measurements and try and alongside your pasture growth, you can see where you're going to end up with weights and by using your grass curve as well. It's a really powerful little tool just to see where you're gonna end up. That's why go to all this, why go to all this extra work? But as I say, as a small unit, I think we just have to run as efficiently as productive as we can for the minimum of costs and for labour. So these tools are all in the toolbox to help us out. So we shouldn't be afraid to give them a go and and let them help us. I think you've to do anything, and I think anything well, you've got to measure it to manage it. So, and we're a big advocate of that. We know the importance of going out there and collecting the data, and it's not just collecting it; it's using it to make decisions. And using some of these tools just to give us a better understanding of what we're getting. We can't be good at everything, and we can't be experts in everything. But I feel these tools just help us, to make the most of stuff. To make the most of what we do measure. We try and manage it to the biggest, its greatest potential. So yeah, with the limited scale on our farm, the attention to detail and the collection of the data, really does help us maximize and manage the business to its greatest potential. Obviously, we only run cattle here, and are only real enterprises. A few breeding stock and fattening cattle. So, that's the driver of the business. So that I think anything that can be used to maximize that, we have to take it. For us, as I say, that by using the data alongside the prediction with Farmax, it just takes the bit of guesswork out of it and just sort of say gives you a bit of confidence in decision making going forward. That's good decisions, that's bad decisions. That's whether that being putting more stock on or taking certain stock off at certain times of the year. It's the old the what if, the monkey on your shoulder scenarios. The Farmax just can very easily be simulated without having to actually without having to set a foot in the field. You can look into the future a bit with it. You can play about with running, excuse me, 20 or 30 extra cows and see what it does to your system. Or if you put them into a shed at a certain time of the year, you can see how it affects your grass. Or so yeah, for us it's just it's the whole just backing up decision making and making the most of what we have here. And especially for me, as I say, we've been here since '96, and I was 9 then, and then I moved away, and I was 17 to go to university, and I pursued another career. So I've only been back for the last 3 years. Moved back in 21, uh, and the 21. So for me, being away from the farm for so long and be able to come back and having the ability to look back on previous data and to lean on data and make decisions not just through feel, but to make decisions through, you know, having the confidence to make decisions through things you can measure is has been a big boost in my confidence, and it's really helped me to, obviously Dad's still here, and he has a massive input in the business still. But I think going forward, we're just we both feel that without without measuring grass or without using Pharmax, we probably be doing some things that we're doing today. So yeah, it's just it really does just help in that decision making, and reinforce the direction you should be traveling in going forward. Say the ability to foresee the problems before they happen is just um yeah, as I say, maybe if I had more experience, maybe I might be able to do that without needing something like Pharmax. But I think for me, it does just help me just to keep an eye on things going, in the future a little bit, and just if a couple of months before you're going to be tight in grass, you can save you to get rid of a head of 20 growing cattle to go store rather than fat. It can just to help you out a little bit. So yeah, you know the using the format predictions, the changes a bit before they affect animal performance. The bottom line. There's always that thing of you think you can manage and carry those beasts, but really, you're hurting at the expense of all of them. Whether if you were to get 20 away store, muddle through your grazing right through till October, November. If you had an extra 20 away, then the 70 that are left could be on a really good grazing. Whether if you keep those extra 20, then you kind of affecting a group of 90 rather than 70. So yeah, just to say, it just gives you that confidence to maybe just try and maximize your system, and just give that confidence to make a decision. So yeah, it's kind of where we are, and just really just focusing on me. So that's sort of that's me really. That's just what we shot a little rundown of what we do here. It's maybe not that technical, but yeah, that's just the way we try and operate really. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Thanks very much, Stuart. That was really interesting. I've just got one question here from Harriet. She can you see it in the chat there? The question.
I'll open it up.
I can just read it out. Harriet's basically asking what percentage of your week is out on the ground and what percentage of your week is at the desk interpreting data.
Um, it's still evolving, if I'm honest. This time of year, like is when I'll try and do more office work. It's quiet time of year anyway. I'm basically to do the whole farm at the minute is like 3 hours. So I'm out in the mornings at the minute, and then I try and I do have a lot of data to go through. So I do spend a bit of time with spreadsheets and what have you, and Farmax, making updating things for the year, and and setting up spreadsheets for the year going forward. Just to make data input easy. So at the minute, yeah, I do spend a lot of time behind the desk, but it's just this whole. I've done a couple other courses this year as well about where you work your business, and it's this whole working on your business rather than working in it. I think we forget to work on it a lot, and we're always focused about working in it and the physical stuff. But I think it's just as important to do the working on it, and keeping up with you know, your record keeping, and making use of the data you record. What's the point of recording data if you don't sit down and use it as a metric? As I say, we're always trying to make small gains here. We're a small farm, really just a one man outfit, really. So, yeah. So every small change to us, you really can see it, and it's how it affects the business. So yeah, I think in summer obviously, carving that sort of is full on, and obviously time on the desk then sort of limited. We're one man carving, but again, it's only really 6 weeks out of a year carving. Really, we just we know labour is a big thing for us. Being a one man unit. So yeah, having carving short and gives us the rest time to really just keep on top of our grazing. So as I say, I mean, even through carving, we are measuring grass, so that is something that never gets pushed aside. That's from April right through till October. Grass is measured at least fortnightly. And I say probably from April right through till maybe early June, mid June. Sort of heading date. Grass heading date. We are probably measuring probably weekly. Because the changes are big in a week. As I say, when we're trying to maximise that grazing on a small platform, you have to be pretty full on with how often you check where you are with your grass. As I say, and the biggest thing for us is just that foot in the field. That's above all of measuring. And that even say Dad does the measuring, he's pretty good, and he can probably eyeball point most of his measures without actually measuring. But obviously he's got to that stage through doing so many measures. But yeah, I think say just seeing where you are with grass is a physically standing in the field, seeing where you are with the grass makes a big difference. So it's definitely something that we would always strive to make time for, and we always do make time for. And the same with the update in the farm acts, putting those reads in, that's just once a week or once a fortnight putting the reads in, but just making sure that data is using is accurate, because I say the predictions are only as good as the data that it uses. So yeah, we do spend a bit of time on that. But again, that'll be through the spring and the summer, that might be a 1 day a fortnight, or say half a day a fortnight, just updating that. So little and often, and that's kind of where we are. Hope that sort of answers your question. Bit of a long-winded answer.
No, that's perfect. Thanks very much, Stuart. Elizabeth has a question. Do you want to just come in and ask Elizabeth?
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Stuart, very much for your great webinar. Lots of super information. You're doing lots of great things. I had a variety of questions. I'm sorry. First one was I see you've split up a lot of different paddocks. Do you always put the fences in the same place? And then I was thinking about water, how you supply the water to all these different paddocks. You may want to answer these before I ask any more.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Yeah. So all paddocks are permanent through the spring, summer, autumn. So basically, we've been paddock grazing since, well, Dad's been paddock grazing since 2012. So fortunately, over that time, we've managed to accumulate enough posts and wire that we now are through the spring, summer, autumn. We are permanently set up in paddocks. So we are the same paddock every year. The same. So the map is exactly the same every year, basically. Fences might move, 10 meters either way. If we feel that, yes, say it was a wet year and fence lines got poached or something, which doesn't really happen, if I'm honest. Then we might change them, 10 meters either way, or but paddocks tend to be the same. But we're set up. We're set up for all year round. So there's no saves a lot of time for us, grazing wise, because there's no setting up of fences. We are just set, pretty set with our 1 hectare paddocks, and that's us. And we sort of adjust I think for the size that we are and the amount of stock we carry, sort of suits our farm and system. So we tend to be on 2 day to 3 day, well, 2 day to 3 day shifts really across the board. So it just sort of suits us. As for water, in a lot of those fields, we're split up into maybe 4, 6, or 8 paddocks, but we're using original water troughs, and then we're running overland water to the center of the center point of 4 paddocks. So one trough's doing 4 paddocks. That's how I work it. But I say, because we're only grazing spring, summer, autumn, we don't worry about frost. So we're all overland. So I mean, luckily we've got a good water system on the farm anyway. That every farm had a permanent trough. So we've been able to spur off lines, and again, we've had the ability to just dads over the years just bought more and more troughs and more water pipes. So now we're just sort of set up, and troughs kind of live permanent, all year round, but also not being used all year round, but they are there all year round. Water's just turned off during the winter. So yeah, it's just like I say, it's just having the ability just to say for been doing it long enough that we managed to have enough kit to be able to do it. So
No, thank you. That's very helpful. It's always the difficult decision if you're on mains water, what you're allowed to use and how people can manage that. But yeah, take your point over winter. It's a different kettle of fish with overland pipes. But no, that's really helpful. Thank you. The other question I had was I know you've just started using smart, Feed Smart, and how you think that will complement the Farmax for useful data for you.
I think the Farmax is good at farm level. Obviously, it doesn't really take into account individual paddocks. So the Feed Smart is really good, I feel, just to maybe not be quite so much going by eye. I mean, previous with that, we just did it off a bit of a percentage of animal weight, really. Figuring out that animals eat between 2 and 2.5% of their body weight in dry matter, like so. And then using knowing what obviously the covers we're going into, a number of animals, we can work out how much feed they're going to eat. But obviously that little web page just sort of does all the hard work for you, really. You can just type in the length, if you're strict grazing, the length of your feed face, and it can tell you how much to give for that, for that day, for how many animals you have. So it's a really good really good tool just to on the ground tool, just to, as you're setting fences up or as you're moving animals into paddocks, just to give you a rough idea of lengths of time they should be in there, or size of your paddocks or whatever. So obviously we're set up at 1 hectare paddock, so that's defined, but obviously the time that they're in there isn't. So yeah, it just gives you a bit of a we can do it by feeling anyway, a little bit, a bit by just go by eye and how paddocks are being eaten. But as I say, at certain times of the year we do take paddocks to different residuals. So yeah, it's good. It's good for that, just to say. And if you're a bit new to it, it's a bit like me. That's a bit new getting back into it. It's just another thing just to build your confidence and give you a bit of a backup to what you should be feeding animals, really. So yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's answered it.
Yep, perfect. Thanks very much, Stuart. That was a really good session. Sorry, a few folk have just had to zip out as they need to get back on with their days. But I really appreciate the time you've given, and that presentation was absolutely top tier. There's a lot of really great information in there. The recording we'll put up on YouTube, and we'll share the link with everyone afterwards so they can refer back to it. But no, that's brilliant. And just to say a quick thanks to the funders, Harriet, who was just here not long ago, was part of Loch Lomond and Trossachs. We're part funding this winter webinar programme, but also the Scottish Government Creative Fund. The next sort of series, part of this web series, will be looking at financial performance. That'll be kicking off early March. We're still trying to get some dates and some speakers confirmed for that, but we'll share that with everyone in due course. So just once again, thanks very much, Stuart. Really appreciate your time, and bump into you again soon.
No worries. Thank you. Cheers.
Just bye now. Cheers.
Bye, mate.